everyone, and welcome to the first episode in my new channel. This is the solo sidekick channel. Anybody that's come over from the Helmet Ad channel, don't worry, me and Alan have not fallen out. I'll still be appearing on there from time to time. It's just Alan's obviously busy doing his round the world trip and all the rest of it, so I don't pop up there much anymore, and I'm still doing stuff on my bike. So I decided after speaking with Alan that maybe I should film some of it and do my own channel. So here it is. So this is not really how I planned on doing the first episode. As you see by the thumbnail, that I went out and bought myself the cheapest, well, I didn't buy it, I'll explain exactly how I got it in a minute, but I got the cheapest BMW GS about, and I was going to take it off camping and show off how good it was and all the rest of it, and unfortunately that didn't quite happen. What happened to start with was the battery was knackered, so I put a new battery on it, tipped the fuel tank on its side while I was doing it, and it sucked up all the cack in, put it all into the fuel system, and was running terribly. So the morning I was due to set off, I quickly took the tank off, cleaned it all out, and that was absolutely terrible, and chucked it back on, and off I went, still hoping we're going to be alright. What I'll do now is I'll play a bit of the clip of me going on that trip and attempting to make it, so I'll include that now. I'm heading off to Wales today. It's now 20 to 2 nearly. I originally set off at 10 o'clock this morning, and my new to me bike gave me a few problems. This is my new to me BMW GS 1150 with 90,000 miles on the clock. Yeah, she's got some miles in her, she's got a bit of experience. It's dying. I pulled over and switched it off, it cleared for a minute. Idle's fine. Oh, I so want to carry on. When I stopped a minute ago, I stopped and I was like, it's cleared, right, I'll carry on, stick on the A roads and find a campsite and just have a night out, but oh, I don't know what to do now. Obviously I got to a point when I was riding there and I was like, I got off the motorway and I decided I was either going to try and carry on the A roads or turn around, and it got to the point where it was riding awful, and I decided to turn around, and I stopped a bit, and I was a bit gutted that I didn't make it, and I kind of stopped filming after a bit. But then anyway, after a while it seemed to clear and it was riding a lot better, but by that time I was committed to coming home and I'd had enough, and that was it, so I came home. So now, as you can see, the bike is in a lot of bits. There's bits there, there's bits there, and yeah, that's where we're at. But what I'll do is I'll explain to you first of all how I got the bike. So I used to have the Aprilia 660. I've had I've had quite a few bikes and vehicles, lots of vehicles that have been high mileage or they've needed some work and attention. So it's nothing new that I end up with some piece of junk that is rubbish and I try and make it a little less rubbish and make it a bit more serviceable and usable. So there's not really too much of a bother that this has happened, and anybody that knows me will have kind of expected it anyway. So let me just have a drink of my tea. So yeah, going back to how I got it. There was a guy on the Aprilia Pegaso Facebook group who posted a picture of this and said, does anybody know somebody that might want to buy this because I'm looking to buy a Pegaso? He wanted to free up some cash, he wanted to get a cheaper one, sell this on and have some cash towards his other projects. So my Aprilia, I valued it at a similar price to what this is actually probably worth at the time, what I thought. So I said, do you fancy just doing a straight swap? So anyway, we met up, we had a look at them. I realised this had got a few issues, but nothing I couldn't sort out. I think he probably got the slightly better end of the deal, to be honest, but we did the swap. Some of you will have already known this because you'll have seen it on Joe's channel, The Works. He did a bit of a film about it. Just so happens he knew the guy we were swapping with. So anyway, I got the bike, I brought it home, I was quite happy with it. It's got upgraded Touratech front end, hand guards, it's got the heat crash bars, Aquaprovic exhaust and decap pipe on it, gel seat, supposedly upgraded suspension on the back. Let's have a quick walk round from what you can see. So yeah, this is the Touratech front end. Nice, these are worth quite a bit of money. Heat, crash bars, Aquaprovic exhaust. The gel seat's not there, it's at the top, and the rear shock. Let's put you back on there. So when I was looking at it, the front tyre was bowled, very, very borderline. I think it was illegal. He'd brought another spare with him, part worn. The back tyre needed changing, so I bought a part worn to go with it. Not decided exactly what tyres we want to run yet, so I put those on. Oh, it's also got a little crash plate on the front, additional crash plate, skid plates. So I knew it needed those. The rear shock, although it was an upgraded one, that was leaking a bit anyway, so I knew that was going to need looking at. It'd done all the fluids and all that sort of thing. It's MOT till August, which I think, not too sure about the validity of the MOT when we go through some of the other stuff. So anyway, I was kind of weighing it all up. You know, if it hadn't got the extra bits on it, I don't think I would have gone for it, because it, you know, oh, it's done 90,000 miles as well, so just, you know, she's done a fair few miles. And anyway, it's looking a bit raggedy around the edges, as you'd expect for the mileage. And so yeah, but I did the swap. Brought it back, didn't touch it for a week or so, went to it, the battery was flat, so that's when I then put a battery on it, had those issues. The reason I took the tank off is because the battery's actually underneath the tank on these. Terrible design, don't know why you do that, but anyway, so that kind of led to those problems. So now the tank's off. As a procedure with the tank, I took the tank, when I took the tank out, emptied all the fuel out of it, lots of water, lots of crap. It's terrible inside. BMW sell them with a liner. Let's just see if we can have a look in there, so I can show you. I don't know if you can see in there, hopefully you can, but it's got this horrible liner in it. There you go, which now is just peeling off. Terrible. And this is all the stuff that I've just pulled out of it just now after drying it out. Yeah, as you can see, that's not good. So what I'm going to do with the tank is I'm now going to go down and reseal it all up. I'm going to try and get the rest of that paint out. I'm then going to buy a lining kit, reline it. Hopefully that will sort that. While all that's out, I'm going to put a new fuel pump in it. Oh, I don't know if I'm going that shot. I'm going to put a new fuel pump in it. I've ordered that and a new filter. The actual old filter, when I looked at that, the date on it was 2014, which kind of ties in with a few things on this bike. The tyres, when I took those off, they were 10 years old. On the old MOT history, it was doing lots of miles up until about 9 years ago. So regularly 10,000 miles, and after that it's only done like 500 miles-ish a year. It's done nothing since. So I think what's happened, it's been very well looked after, because you can tell somebody's loved it. To get to this mileage, it's got the bits on it, somebody's loved it up to a point, and I think it was owned by somebody. There's perhaps been a change of owner since then. It's not had the maintenance it deserves. I mean, they're the plugs I pulled out of it. The rust on those is terrible. I think it's just down to maintenance, just poor maintenance. So yeah, we're gonna start with, we're gonna get the tank sorted out. We're gonna get that cleaned, lined, new pump, new filter, everything back in that. Then the rear shock. Oh, also let's show you this. Let's take you over here. So also the rear shock, I have noticed. Watch this, I don't think this should do this really. You see the play in that. I don't really think that's supposed to do that. So that's another fault. If you look in here, hopefully you can see in there all this nice rust in the bearing in there, and all this condensation that's on it. And also hear that, feel that notchiness on there. Yeah, that's going to be the bearings need changing there. Can you see that? We've got, yeah, that fork seal's gone as well. That's a nice one. Yeah, great. The rear shock in there, you probably can't see it, but that's also leaking oil. So far, it's looking really well. You'll see, I've got the rocker covers off. That's just what I thought. I'd looked online, apparently these can suffer with some issues with the tappets, not tappets, sorry, the push rods. So I thought while I'm checking things, I'm just going to pull the push rods out, have a look. Turns out they're fine, so that's one thing off the list. So what I'm going to do, I've been on eBay, let's see what I've brought for it so far. So what have we brought? Purchases. Oh, yes, first thing actually. So also when I brought it home, I noticed it was leaking brake fluid from the rear master cylinder. Look at that. That's also another good one. So the first thing I bought, well not the first thing, it's the last thing I bought because it's first on the list, is a replacement rear brake cylinder. Interestingly, the part numbers are the same for the R1200R, ST and 9R. So this is actually, I've actually bought a second-hand one, but in the pictures and in the description it says it's off a new bike. So 34 quid for that. New fuel filter, £14.40. The fuel pump and the bits and bobs for that, another 28 quid. What else we're going to do? I'm not sure that it was, I've looked through about the balancing of the throttle bodies on these and how they're supposed to set them up to start with. There's supposed to be some free play in the cable, which these didn't have. So the throttle bodies are off at the minute because I'm cleaning the fuel system out. So I bought some kit to balance the throttle bodies, so I'll be doing a thing on balancing the throttle bodies, making sure they're set up right. Oil filter and the tool. Now he said he changed all the filters and everything. I was going to do it again anyway, but looking at the oil that's in the top of that engine, the oil is really clean, and when I've taken the tops off everything, it does look really well. There's no signs of any adverse wear or anything in there. The spark plugs obviously. The battery I bought, I had to buy a new battery as well. The tyre. So as you can see, things are already starting to add up. So I'm not done buying stuff yet for it. Obviously the tank lining kit, that's about 60-70 quid. I bought some paint stripper, that's another, that was 7 quid. Things are starting to add up. So was this worth it? I think we know the answer to that already before I even say it, but you know, the Aprilia, to be fair, I valued the Aprilia at 1800 quid to 2 grand. It didn't owe me that. I paid 1500 quid for that. So when you think I've swapped this actually stands me at 1500 quid, then plus the parts. So it's not too bad. Could I have just sold the Aprilia and put this money towards it and gone and bought one with less miles and less hassle? Yeah, I could have done. And realistically, and I could have been out and enjoying it. But that's kind of it's just typical me. I always try and do things the easy way and end up being the hard way. But these sort of things always sort of find me. I've got my ex-ambulance van, camper van. That's 280,000 miles on it. That needed work on it. I've kind of put that back on the road. The pan I had that me and Alan went round and everybody else went around the UK, that was a bit of a, that ended up in bits, and I sort of sorted that out. You know, the Aprilia that got stolen, that was 2 bikes made into one. So yeah, these things have a habit of finding me, or me finding them. But you know, this bike's obviously been looked after by somebody. It's done a lot of miles. Why shouldn't it keep going? It's going to be another chance at it. I'm going to try and use it for a bit. Want to get it back on the road as quickly as I can for the summer, and then maybe in the winter I might even strip it down a bit further. I've got a feeling that I'm going to have to do something with the clutch on it at the end of the summer. When it's warmed up and you let the clutch out and you take it out of gear, you can hear the noise coming from there. So, and I know this is going to be a pain to do on this, so I'm not doing it at the minute unless I have to. I'm not doing it at the minute because otherwise there'll just be bits everywhere and it's not going to get done. So for now, what I'm going to do, obviously I've said we're going to do the fuel tank, we're going to get that sorted. That's going to be the first, well, one of the first things. The fuel lines, I've stripped all the fuel lines off, taken the injectors off, so I'm going to go through cleaning the injectors. All the fuel lines have been flushed through once. I've got a feeling that what happened when that tank was on its side is what happened is I've sucked some water up and it's gone into the system somewhere. There's been a bit of water stuck somewhere from that was sat in the tank. So that's all the fuel lines are off. Everything's disconnected, so I'm kind of flushing those through, keep loading them through. I'm going to leave them to dry. When I took the fuel pressure regulator out, I popped that out, and the inside of where that housing, that was all caked in crap and crud and everything. That was horrible. So don't know what's gone on there, but obviously that's all being cleaned out. We'll get the throttle bodies, once all the fuel systems back together, we'll get the throttle bodies back on, we'll get everything balanced up there. We'll get a new master cylinder on the back. Hopefully that will kind of pull it all back together. I'll make sure it runs properly first, and then it will be the rear shock, front shock, and this head bearing. So as you can see, there's a fair bit to do. I think that's probably going to be about it for the first episode. Hope there's been a lot of me waffling with not really a lot happening, but in the next episode you'll probably see a bit of the fuel tank being done. Hopefully some bits going back together rather than just a pile of bits everywhere. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you want to see what happens, please give us a subscribe, maybe even a comment, say hello, and all that sort of thing. But thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Living life, every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better